must move on. Roshi Joan, your turn.
Thank you so much, Bob. I just want you to notice the composition of this panel. The men, the women, the old, the young, so many different cultures and religions and persuasions and perspectives here. And I want to thank Gendon and Bob and Rachel and, you know, how the alchemy of this moment is an actual example of what we're speaking about. So thank you so much, Bob.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to mention the name of Jesuit friend of mine named Father John Deere. I think you know him. I hope you get to know him. He has been in prison, Wilbert, 75 times. And he has been in prison 75 times, but not up to 44 years. He, you know, he's not much older than 44 years. But he's been in prison 75 times protesting violence. And he's an extraordinary person and a great follower not only of Jesus, but of Gandhi. And he made the point in a recent article on peace that I think is so important for us, that if we are to protect all human rights, we have to actualize nonviolence. And Gandhi's point is very much in alignment with what you're saying, Your Holiness, that nonviolence is not simply a social factor, but also it has to do with a quality of mind, a quality of being. Now, peace is a difficult subject. I think it's an emergent property, in fact, of a complex dynamical system. You can't really say what peace is. And particularly, I think it's better that you look at who we are together, not who we are individually, to tune into what peace is. But it's so important for us to explore at this time. We long for it, but we don't understand it very well. For example, we think that the illusion of peace is somehow related to privilege. And this very much comes to what you were talking about, Wilbert. You know, many of us have privileged lives, even the least privileged in Western society, in our culture, in our nation. Enjoy so much more privilege. Even those in prison enjoy greater privilege than many people in many other parts of the world. And yet, we foster violence through protecting our privilege. We foster violence based in privilege. We have to look, as Jody was saying, at the issue of privilege in our culture. And we have to end dividing reality into many different camps. And again, who we are up here, I think, is a powerful example of an undivided, but a reality that is diverse. There is peace in society. There is also peace in lifestyle. And when I speak about lifestyle, I'm speaking about, you know, how we relate to the natural world, how we relate and how we live. There is also what His Holiness was speaking about, peace at the inner level. What is it to live a reflective life? And I think that this morning's panel and all of the different streams that we're bringing together, the neuroscience that you're talking about, Dr. Chopra, which is, I see Adam Engel in the audience, who is part of the Mind and Life Vision, you know, the wonderful dialogues that His Holiness has had for years between scientists and so on. This morning, we're addressing the issue of inner peace and why it's important. And I want to bring another Christian. I'm a Buddhist, but forgive me for having a religion, Your Holiness. But I'm invoking non-Buddhists this morning, particularly Christians, since my root are Christians. And this is Dorothy Day, the founder of the Catholic Worker. And she said, the greatest challenge of the day is how to bring about a revolution of the heart. A revolution which has to start with each one of us. And this is a little bit counter to what you're saying, Rabbi. Well, we'll work it out in the green room. But it really has to do with taking, you know, I was recently on a panel about dignity, and a wonderful Islamic scholar, we were talking about the protection of human rights. And this scholar said, you know, in Islam, we're not so focused so much on rights. We focus on responsibility. Responsibility. We have a responsibility to actually cultivate our mind, to develop pro-social mental qualities, because it is truly against the stream of our society. I believe that the revolution that Dorothy Day was talking about is what Krishnamurti referred to as the revolution within. And that is what we're speaking about this morning. How do we cultivate inner peace? I'm almost 70. In the 1960s, I was part of the civil rights and the anti-war movement. And that was a time of extraordinary polarization. We were very dedicated, as I know you were part of that world too. We were very dedicated in our efforts to both ending war and also ending injustice and racial discrimination. But we were deeply polarized. We had not actualized inner peace. And I would say this is a long time since the mid-60s when I began my meditation practice as a way to really address my tendency to polarize and the deep sense of objectification of the other that was very much a part of my life. And it was a time of swimming upstream. But a person of that time, I want to mention his name, was of great inspiration to us. He embodied both the quality and commitment that you're speaking about, Rabbi, and also the inner qualities about which Your Holiness is speaking about, and that is Dr. King. He said, "Our scientific power has outrun our spiritual power. We have guided missiles and misguided men." Guided missiles and misguided men. These words were penned almost 50 years ago, and they are more relevant today. I believe that there are 4 important things that we need to cultivate and remember as we address this world of inner peace. The first thing is very much in the feeling of the panel, that we are a human family, but we're not just a human family, we're a family of all species. His Holiness said, "My religion is kindness." The word kind is also, has within it the word kin. It speaks about interrelatedness. And Dr. King put it this way: all men are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality. I would modify that. I would say that all beings are caught in an inescapable net of mutuality. The second is that we need to have vows, precepts, and ethics. We need to be guided by the highest principles, and at this time more than ever, because our connectivity, as Dr. Chopra was pointing out, and as we're exemplifying here on the panel, it is so vivid at this time. We need to actualize what His Holiness has spoken about in terms of secular ethics. Our personal, social, religious, and vows of enlightenment all need to be vows of compassion. And these vows refer to states of mind that shape, share, save, or can destroy our world. We need to live our vows, and we need to live those vows in a way that they actualize compassion. The third thing that I think is really critical is that we have dedicated motivation, a motivation to awaken and to practice. And the fourth thing is that we need to acknowledge causality. And I want to just say this: nations often deny causality by ascribing blame to others, to terrorists, to rogue nations. And when we single out an enemy, we short-circuit our own experience of introspection. Your Holiness, Dr. Ebadi, Jody, friends, the practice of nonviolence is essential in our world today. It's the practice of compassion. I believe that meditation or reflective practice is an important door to peace. I want to remind Your Holiness of these words that I have quoted often with you present, but also not necessarily with you present. Love and compassion are not luxuries, His Holiness has said. They are necessities for the human species to survive. And I would modify that. Many species will perish unless we actualize that love and compassion in our lives today. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan.